No problem.
What, these are all donations to the library?
This is my first attempt at segmented turning, and Gordon was very kind. Because I had won a workshop with him 2 years in a row, and it must have been another 2 before I ever got there. And he did honor it, and we had a great day.
Yeah, you were inspired, huh?
But very nice, I enjoyed the day.
Good.
And this is just a beef bowl that was in the chuck for over 6 months, and I got tired of moving it, so I just turned the tenon off it. And a little heavier than normal, I would turn, but I just saw this in it, and I like to keep it. And when I was cutting from the inside, I was starting to come, it was going to be a hole, so I just filled it with some walnut sawdust and CA glue and left it there.
Go for it. Yeah.
So, these are a couple of the bowls that you saw me making when I did the demo, whenever I did the demo. So I did a third one that I just donated to somebody for a fundraiser. This is the slightly different design, but you might recall I said it's best not to make it symmetric. And while you can't tell it, most of us can't tell it by eyeballing that way. If you look on this side, you can see very clearly that it's off-centered. You know, that, right? And I spent a lot of time trying to make sure it was dead center. So the moral of that story is keep it asymmetrical. And then you don't need to worry about whether you're centered or not centered when you do it. Now, one of the things that when I was putting a finish on, because I had to get this the third one finished, ready for the donation, I couldn't find my clear Minwax, which is what I tend to seal it with, and so I had some pine colored Minwax, and you know, I put it on a little test piece. You know, I put it on part of the back here to make sure that you know, it looked okay. But what I didn't take into account was the end grain and the color. You can particularly notice it here, where it looks like blotches, and that's because it showed up on the other bowl as well. I kept telling myself, non-wood turners won't see it, and they didn't. She thought it was absolutely wonderful and marvelous. But I realized that that's the color going into the end grain. So that's a good lesson, is not to mess with colored things if you've got end grain sticking around.
Go ahead. Yep.
Diane's bowls, when she showed us how to do those bowls, that was back in May. So in June, when I started to do an inlay of my own, hurt my back, wasn't able to get back to it until a few weeks ago. So I went and perforated right through the bowl and inserted a dog paw pattern.
Well, I like your face.
Oh. But,
It's very impressive because it's difficult with, you know.
yeah, it took 8 hours to do this bowl, and about 6 of it was the sanding, because I used my drill press and Forstner bits to do the perforating of the bowl blank. And then a lot of time with the oscillating spindle sander, the belt sander, the disc sanders to get my insert pieces. And I didn't go for a wide reveal line like Diane's did. I went for fairly tight, which made it even harder to keep it tight. The other thing I did a little different than Diane does, she thickens her epoxy and puts it on and pieces everything together. I set my bowl up so that I had a piece of wood, piece of cardboard down, wax paper on it, and I clamped my bowl blank down lightly, not hard, but just lightly. And then when I had all my pieces ready to fit in, I actually mixed my epoxy, no thickener, poured it into my holes, and then I inserted my inserts in, pushed them down, and I actually held them down very hard so they actually protruded into the cardboard a little bit, and then I let them harden. And I ended up with almost 0 air bubbles and a very nice thin line. So it's just another way of doing the same technique. And right now I'm doing another one, and it's a Canadian maple leaf, so hopefully I'll have it done for next month.
Very good.
My 2 days, my whole inspiration was I just want to make something really big on my lathe. And that's the biggest thing yet. I had a little problem with that, in fact, that my Maxi General that I use will only handle about 16 inches, especially when you stick the one-way live center in the end. It takes up, 3 or 4 inches. But I did have an old Beaver lathe as well, that, I don't know, 1970s vintage. So I had to incorporate using that as well to get the product finished. I ended up building this in 2 sections and then putting it together on my old lathe, basically. I wanted to play with a little bit of wood dyes as well, and Gordon was good enough to give me a little bit of a lecture on using wood dyes and the do's and don'ts and that sort of thing. I found some tint that a fellow had used online that I really liked the shade of blue, and I sent him an email, and he was good enough to tell me exactly what he used, which was called Trans Tint Blue. And I decided to build the second one after I had this one built, because I wanted a test platform for doing the dye, because I've never done it before. And if you look very, very close at this, the dye did not go into the grain very well on it. It was quite porous, but I didn't mind the look of it, but it's not what I wanted on this one, so I ended up doing a little bit of reading, and somebody had said that the stain will penetrate that ash grain a little bit better than the dyes will. So I took some walnut stain that I had at home and just stained it completely first, and then sanded it all back so it was just absorbed in the grain, and then applied the dye on top of that. And it seemed to do what I was looking for to do. It kind of popped the grain a little bit more, and it lost the effect of penetrating as well. Yeah, so I also, when I ordered the dye, I ordered a red and a yellow as well, and so I want to play a little bit more with those as well to see what it looks like. But yeah, the wood was ash, of course, and Gordon had given me a piece of ash a long time ago. And it started checking a bit, so I thought I'm going to rip it into some lumber on the bandsaw. So I did that and stickered it and left it there for a few more years. And then I said, I've got to do something with it. So this is what came to mind at the time.
Could you hold 2 guys this time?
The 2 bales.
Absolutely amazing. Really good.
Wow.
Very nice shape too.
Well, that's another story all by itself too. So I had an original shape, and I showed Gordon, and he showed me some refinements I could make to it as well. So that helped him as well. I was very pleased with the final product.
Very good.